The Yeomans Digital Scrapbook, Part 2. Betty and Eddie didn't have much time together. Soon after their wedding, Eddie returned to the Air Force. He went overseas April 1944, only 4 months after their wedding. This is a Valentine card that Betty sent to him. This is a Mother's Day card he sent to my mother. He was the pilot of a P-47 Thunderbolt fighter plane. He was an escort to bomber formations, and he and his squadron, the Black Scorpion Squadron, did light bombing and strafing. These are pictures of his plane taken with an espionage camera. His plane was named Betty in honor of his wife. September 4th, 1944, on his 99th mission, he was shot down by a German fighter plane. At that time, he was listed as missing in action. A gravestone was placed in the St. Paul's Episcopal Cemetery, Pleasant Valley, listing his death as September 1944. June 27th, 1945, he was declared killed in action. Betty received this touching letter from his commanding officer. According to this letter, he was buried with full military honors and interred in a U.S. military cemetery in northern Italy. During 1948, after Betty's death, his body was brought back and buried in St. Paul's Cemetery, and another stone was placed. After the death of my sister Betty's husband during the war, she came back home to live with us at Bilmar Nursery in Pleasant Valley. She met Sanford Bush, one of the men who worked for my father. Sanford had been in the Marine Corps and fought in the South Pacific during the war. This is a picture of them taken along the road near High Falls, New York. That is where they lived after they were married. These are pictures of them that look like they were taken in a photo booth. I think this picture of Betty, Sanford, our mother, and Aunt Toddy was taken at our house. It is the last picture that I have of Betty. July 16th, 1947, she had a baby boy. That night, she died at St. Francis Hospital in Poughkeepsie. I was only 7, so all I was ever told was that she died in childbirth. She was buried in the Presbyterian Cemetery in Pleasant Valley. My parents brought that baby home to raise. His name is Gary. Here are lots of pictures of him. Here he is in his playpen, sitting with me in the grass, eating cake with his cousin Brent Lovelace. It might have been one of their birthdays. They were very close in age. It looks like he crawled off. Here he is with his father holding him. Now a couple of pictures with cousin Freddie Lovelace. I think Freddie was stationed in Okinawa. This is Gary with my father, his grandpa. This is my mother and Sanford with Gary. Here he is with my cousin Joan. On the swing with me and his mother's dog Rex, talking to cousin Charlotte. This must be his second winter standing with my mother, his grandma. Now he's enjoying the swing all by himself. Now standing with cousin Babs. This is Babs with Gary and Brent and an adult that I don't recognize near the stream at Bilmar Nursery where we lived. This is Brent on his tricycle near the pond by our house. This is me, Gary, Babs, Brent, and Ronnie. This is me, Babs, and Ronnie. This is my mother and Babs with Gary. Here are some pictures of my mother during the time we lived at Bilmar Nursery. Maybe she was calling the workers in from the field. It might be lunchtime. Here is Gary helping his grandpa drive the tractor. This is Gary swimming in the yard. This is his mother many years before swimming in her backyard tub. This is my father after the wedding of one of his nephews. This is my father, mother, and I at the same wedding, sometime around 1951. This is Aunt Marion and Uncle Horace's family in front of their house. I think it was after the wedding. Howard, Donald, and Wilson are her sons by her first husband. Pauline and Horace Jr. are her children by her current husband. This is Aunt Marion with all her children. This is Aunt Marion and Uncle Horace with their children. This is my mother, Gary, and Uncle Clarence Bernholtz at his house. This is Grandma, Gary, Aunt Donna, Mother, Uncle Clarence, and my father having a picnic. This is Babs. This is Babs and I. Here are Babs and I with our bikes. It looks like Gary joined us on his tractor. Here is Irva and I, 1953. I think we might be at Aunt Tottie's house. Here is Charlotte watching TV while Brent is sleeping. This is my grandma, Uncle Clarence, Gary, Aunt Donna, and my mother. Here is Uncle Clarence in front of his house after a long snowstorm. This is a view of the road. This is my father and his mother taken around 1954. Here is my mother relaxing in a chair. Now she's busy fixing dinner. Looks like dinner's over. Her and Uncle Fred are having a quiet beer. This is Uncle Clarence Bernholtz, Aunt Donna's first husband. Here is another picture of him. This is the pond at the Boy Scout camp where they lived. My mother and Aunt Donna. She is helping Moe get his plate ready. Now he's eating. He got so tired he had to take a nap. This is my mother with Cousin Thorne Lovelace on the back porch steps. This is Thorne in uniform. This is my mother with Uncle George, maybe 1956. When I was a teenager, I went to Yankee Stadium. That white dot in the field is Mickey Mantle. That day, Mickey hit a home run. This is Gary's father, stepmother Mickey, and their children, Pepper, David, Gary, and Paul. October 24, 1954, Gary was baptized. I think all of the boys were baptized that day. These pictures are from the party that was held afterward at Mickey and Sanford's house. These are the women who attended the baptism. This is Gary with his grandparents. This is Cousin Brent with Gary's grandparents. This is Freddie and Aunt Tottie with Pepper. This is my father, taken one day when he worked for the state of New York. This is Gary's school picture from 1957. Here are some school pictures of Brent over the years. My mother, father, Bruce, and Johnny Haight and their father. They were longtime friends of the family. Here are a couple of pictures from my high school days. The girl in the hat is Pat Silvernail. I think the one looking this way is Diane Tinkleman. Here I am, ready to go to my senior prom. This is Babs's senior picture. This is Gary and Brent standing by Aunt Tottie's Ford Fairlane convertible, getting ready to take me back to Camp Lejeune. Here are Gary and Brent at one of the stops along the way. Gary, Brent, and I at a rest area. We have arrived at Camp Lejeune. Here is Gary with the sign, and Brent with the sign. This is Uncle Charlie with his wife Aunt Irma accepting a life membership in the American Legion at a party October 24th, 1959. Uncle Clarence Bernholtz. I'm not sure what uniform this is. December 16th, 1959, Uncle Clarence died. This is his obituary. He had been very active in the Boy Scouts. This is Uncle Fred. He died March 10th, 1959. He had been town clerk of Pleasant Valley for many years. This is Aunt Donna with her cat. This is Aunt Donna with her dogs. This is Aunt Donna with her goats. This is Aunt Donna with her friend Jean. This is Uncle Clarence Van Voorhees. He was her second husband. Here he is sitting outside. Here are Aunt Donna and Uncle Clarence Van Voorhees ready to mow the lawn. This is their friend and neighbor Hugh. This is Uncle Clarence with Aunt Toddy and a neighbor girl. This is Moe in the snow. This is my mother. This is my mother leaving an outhouse. This is my mother, Sis, and Debbie Haight. Here is another view of them. This is a bar called Dot and Arts. Dot is tending bar. The customers are Aunt Toddy, Uncle Fred, Sis, and an unknown man. This is my mother and father with Sis on his lap at the bar. This is a picture that my future husband gave to my parents. This is a picture of me at about the same time. Here's some sillier pictures of me. Cousin Ronnie and I when I was home for Christmas. Here is Aunt Toddy standing at her door. My mother and father at Aunt Toddy's in the winter and in the summer. This picture was taken when I came home for Aunt Donna and second Uncle Clarence's wedding. Winter 1961, I was awarded Tigress of the Month by L Company. Dot Berger enjoying an ear of corn while her husband Harrison relaxes. My father enjoying the sun. My father and mother enjoying the sun. Ronnie and Aunt Toddy enjoying the sun. My mother's sister, my Aunt Nettie, died March 21st, 1963 at Vassar Hospital. This is my father's Pleasant Valley Volunteer Fire Company card. My father died January 4th, 1964. Here are copies of the obituary. This is Gary holding Karen. This is Karen standing with Aunt Donna in front of my mother's trailer. This is Aunt Donna giving Tony his bottle. Karen and Tony in the water at the Pleasant Valley Rec Park. Giovanna, Tony, and Becky on Babs's couch. My mother died February 15th, 1972. This is her obituary. This is the Christmas card we sent in 1972. Tony and Karen in a swimming pool in Archie. Our neighbor and friend, Charles Anderson, holding a catfish he and Frank caught while we lived in Archie. This is Kelly Anderson holding a catfish. Karen, Kelly, Angie, and Tony ready for school. This is the Archie school behind them. Here is little Tony, 1975. While we lived in Archie, I graduated LPN school. This is Karen and Tony. This is a picture of me in my car in 1984. This is Tony in 1995. Me, Karen, and Kelly Crom at Karen's wedding to Clay in 1993. This is Kelly's mother with Karen, April, and Kelly the same day. This is cousin Maudie Wilbur with me, 2001. This is Maudie with Tony the same day when we went to visit her. I hope you have enjoyed this digital family scrapbook.